Back to the Castoff. It is time for our last finalist. We are going to have Chance with his hardpoint cast. And honestly, before we get this one started, I want to mention this was my first cast of the day. And I thought Chance did better than I did. He kind of crushed it where I flubbed. He picked it up. We'll get more.
Crazy.
We'll add a little bit more to that after this. But let's take a listen to his vlog heading into the matchup.
The advice Puckett gave me was to not up for this, which is great before going on out the stage for the first time. Fourth match I've ever casted, so incredibly nervous to say the least. It's been a few years since I've actually been physically shaking from nerves, so that's always fun. We'll give it my best. Haven't up yet this tournament. I'd really be bad to start up now, but yeah, it'd be all right. We'll see.
2015 Call of Duty Championship presented by Xbox. Chris Puckett up in the booth, joined by our first Castoff contestant. Let me introduce you to Chance. Chance, before we get this started, tell the fans out there a little bit about yourself.
This is the first event I've ever casted at, first LAN I've ever been at, fourth match in total that I've ever casted. I've had 3 on the Bravo stream so far. We got a great match coming up for us today, so we're gonna see how it goes.
Of course, if you guys haven't heard of the Castoff, we have our 4 Castoff finalists here this week, and this is their final performance. We'll see how they perform alongside some of us veteran casters. One lucky winner will join us out in LA to cast at the $1 Million Tournament. But with that said, let's take a look at this squad. Prophecy, of course, you're gonna see Ricky and Mbos. Ricky, he's your OBJ player. It says AR Slayer. He can get it done, though, with all the weapons. Just a .9 KD overall from our Season 1 stats. His S&D game is where he shines, though.
Yeah, I was really expecting Ricky to actually not be too great at this game. Advanced Warfare is extremely fast-paced, and historically, Ricky has been a really slow-paced AR player, but he's really come out to shine. Granted, he only had a .9 KD in your respawn, but still, he's shown up on Advanced Warfare. He's done extremely well in adjusting to the SMG. He's a great all-around player, and especially good at search and destroy.
You just saw Moch. Here's a look at Classic. These are the guys I'm looking to put up the numbers. Here are your Slayers. Classic, phenomenal performance earlier in the tournament. You saw him top in the leaderboard with kills and deaths, and then you have Mbos. Mbos finishing top 3 with Optic Gaming at last year's Call of Duty Championship. Cashing out there, been a long-time member of Optic Nation before finding himself alongside Ricky once again. Mbos, another guy that just gets it done, but when I look at this prop squad, I see a team that is one of the very few that can win without outslaying their opponents.
Obviously, Mbos and Ricky been together for a long time. Classic, another veteran sport, and Machilla is an extremely scary player when he gets going. And Mbos especially is able to mesh well with random teams. He normally comes in with players that haven't been around the scene for a while, and he does extremely well with them. So when you put him on a team that's obviously filled with other great players, I expect this team to go very far.
We're getting into the first of 5 games here on the main stage in the best of 5. We're kicking things off with Biolab Hardpoint. And who do you say is your favorite team to take this one?
Envy with the Sang Flower, I think, is going to lose to Prophecy on this map.
Saints already heating up. Also want to quickly mention Gucci is actually Zuma in this game. Just a quick profile error.
Yeah, that was 4 down from Prophecy. You saw right there, allowing Envy to come in, and now they've been able to get enough control that they're taking a pretty big lead at 19-3. But it looks like now Envy's actually able to retain control as Prophecy had a little bit of contest time there, but then those players go down. So really scrappy hill first, but Envy impressively coming out hot with a 27-5 lead.
15 seconds left. Chance, where do they want to go?
Right now, they want to start rotating over to the next hill by Eskies, and it looks like your Gucci, is that the player
That's
we're
Zuma,
looking at?
yep.
Zuma, okay, excuse me. Looks like your Envy squad has got that early rotation, but you're going to see Prophecy pushing up through snow, and it looks like they're going to be able to get that initial break.
Seconds. It looks like Moch is going to be the last one alive as everyone went down. He will be pushing up, but they are going to have to fight their way in. Already 3 players set up to defend.
Yeah, your Envy squad right now has just been purely out-rotating this Prophecy squad. Mochilla sitting right now at 10-6. It's the only one positive for Prophecy. Classic and Ricky both at 3-10. Really struggling right now, but hopefully if they can start to turn around, Prophecy's going to be able to make a little bit of a comeback as they are able to break the blue hill, which is very impressive for them.
They got 5 more seconds here, only down by about 25 points at the rotation.
Yeah, this is a huge hill for Prophecy after being down and being out-rotated for the first 2 hills. For them to be able to take and break that hardpoint right there, especially on the difficulty, that is that blue hill. That is an extremely good momentum swing for Prophecy, and let's see if they can keep this going on green plat.
Zuma still applying pressure. He's going to get a huge kill there on Classic to keep control here for Envy. Once again, pulling away by about a 50-point advantage if he gets this next kill.
That's actually really great for Envy to do as well. When Prophecy started gaining a little bit of momentum on that last hill,
it's good to just shut it down right away and assert your dominance as a respawn team. The slaying power really just so far has been too much to handle. Have to get at least 3 players in the hill, and you have to basically force the other team to be spawning out past purple. So if you can get them flooding in from purple and you can control that, you can push players out there, out of that spawn, and cut them off and get the kills.
Now that we're in the second side, will MD be able to pull away once again, or will Prof take the lead for the first time in this game?
Yeah, it's going to be 3 down for Prof right there, which is great for the Envy squad. But if you look at Ricky and Embos, or excuse me, Ricky and Classic, they both started at 3 and 10. Ricky has really brought it back, only at 18 and 20 now, which isn't a phenomenal score, but considering the start he had, he's doing really impressive, and he's been helping his team a lot to make a little bit of comeback. But Envy on this hill has been able to lock it down for quite some time, and they're really starting to pull away with this match with a near 60-point lead.
3 minutes, 48 seconds left. Prof really messed up on that last hard point. You got to make up the time here.
Yeah, this is almost a mirror image of what happened last time. Prophecy was able to get the early initial control of the Eskies hill, but Envy took their time and was able to pinch from both sides. We saw almost the exact same thing, except this time Saints was your player coming from the left side of the map rather than Merc, but they were still able to break it. But now we're going to have a little bit of a contest time, and it looks like Prophecy was able to come away with it as Embo is going to be dropping down, and he is able to pick up a kill on Saints. So Prophecy now with your early control, but they're going to need all of this time on this hill and a bunch of it on the next 2 to make this comeback.
What can Prof do to get back in this game, Chance? We're down to the last 3 minutes, 10 seconds, trailing by 50.
I mean, so far, they're just going to have to continue doing exactly what they're doing now. If they lose control of the hill, they're going to have to break it extremely quickly. Take your time to make those breaks, because even if it costs you 10 seconds to get set up, you're still going to be able to effectively get the next 20 or 30 if you play it properly. We're going to have about a 25-point lead right now from Envy, as Prophecy does get the remaining scrap time of that hill as well. The past 2 hills, Prophecy have actually been able to dominate and get the majority of the time, and they're going to have to do that exact same thing right here. So the Envy players are flooding right now from purple. If Prophecy can clean it up, it's going to be huge for them. But Envy, they really only need to contest the time for the next 37 seconds.
They need to play this perfect. They will win by 1.
I think literally Envy only has to contest for about 1 single second, which I don't know if they're going to be able to do, as Prophecy actually does have a good setup. So this is going to come down to the wire. 6 seconds left. They only need 5 points. This is going to be it. If no one can contest from Envy, this might be it. We might see a tie game. No, if someone gets in from Envy, that's going to be your game. 2 points, first match. Fantastic game. Envy able to hold it out.
All right, we'll see. Will Prof be able to tie things up? They're heading to Search and Destroy next. Right now, Envy leads 1 out of the 5. We'll see what's going to happen next. What's our next game mode?
Next, we're going to have Search and Destroy on Solar, which I predicted Envy to win, but at this point, I don't know. I'm just hoping for a round 11.
S&D Solar, we're hoping for a round 11. Find out if we'll get it after this. All right, so before you guys jump into it, I want to point out Chance had to go first. He didn't get a chance to watch any of the other casters or any of the other finalists go in there.
Give that positive.
And when we did the intro video, he didn't really know it was coming. I did. And he was actually looking at me after I started talking about Ricky. He kind of had his pen down, and we were like this instead of the program out. I was not as nice as you guys, where you might have pointed to the program out. I was waiting for him to catch himself.
So I want to point out, before anyone went on the main stage, I took all 4 of the guys there, sat them down and said, this is what you're going to expect. This is your X post, this is your X post, this is program out. You want to pay attention to program out. So
okay,
even
so
though that's
you did
the case,
give him the heads up.
I don't want to hear it. That's, yeah, I gave him the heads up.
You're a good man. Also, before we dive into it, I did give him a little bit of advice, but I like that he kept that last sentence. And that's something that Dave Elliott, a guy I've been working with for over 10 years, used to tell me right before my big shows to just get me to relax. Don't F up. Yeah, just keep it smooth. But let's dive into your notes first before I go through mine.
Immediately ignored Merchant Classic on the player card. You got to be mentioning that program out. As I said, I gave you a warning about that. Messed up on Gucci Azuma once. You kind of explained it, and then he asked again. That's really hard to kind of be a negative, I think. Sometimes I felt like he talked so quick that he kind of lost himself in what he was trying to explain. It's like if he just took a breath, he would have done it a little bit better, and he could have explained it in a much better way. Not often. Towards the end, though, it was great to see him talk as quickly as he possibly could. That really brought the momentum and the hype. Incredible scene knowledge. Great mention of momentum, the swing of momentum. When he said that, we kind of both looked at each other. I was like, yep, that's a good point. Great spawn knowledge. References players in terms of their in-game improvement from when they started, remembering how they started. Was he writing notes?
We touched on it earlier. I kind of called out Ricky when he was 3 and 10, but for him to kind of latch onto that and bring it up later, I thought was phenomenal.
He referenced the first hard point rotations, so he's remembering the scores previously, etc., which was really impressive for me. I was very, very worried at the end when the game was getting so close and Nameless needed to contest. It was kind of like, flat, 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 flat. In the last 5 seconds, all of a sudden it exploded with hype, which was like, okay, you did it. The only way to really improve upon that, which would be more of a consistent kind of slope up, as you're getting closer and you realize, okay, you know, Prof could do this. They could win the game. They could win the game. And there's the contest.
Yep.
And they win the game. As opposed to just like, oh, you know, freak out. It's kind of crazy. But all in all, that was a really, really good cast.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell he was extremely nervous at the start. He did a good job breaking down Ricky, but he just broke him down way too long. I know through the Mochilla card, through the Classic card.
Right.
But just a mix-up. Obviously, no, his first time ever doing something like that. You'd expect a little bit of a mix-up. I like the pregame, you know, the little talk about Bose, you know, playing with different players on different, you know, not amateur teams, but just different players throughout the scene and just having success with them.
Right.
The storytelling with him was probably the best out of anybody, I think, is that he was able to go back into the game, that he was actually casting and talk about, you know, what's actually going on, that what you saw from the first rotation to the second rotation was different and why the game was becoming close. It wasn't just, oh, this game's going to be close. Well, why is Prophecy making this crazy comeback? And he was able to tell that in a very nice way.
Anything else?
You know, just kind of the same negatives as Ben. Sometimes he gets to speak very fast. You really didn't know what he was trying to say. The profile issue, I don't know how much I put on him with that. I mean, he did explain it, but the game's so fast, and then, you know, you jump on board with somebody, and it's the first thing you see, and you kind of are like, yep, that's Gucci.
I've been reading this bottom left corner. I've been reading it.
Right. Yeah.
And if you listen to the cast back in its entirety, I think I called it Gucci twice. It's like Gucci, excuse me, Zuma, because it's just your brain. You're reading it, and it's coming out of your mouth as quickly as you're reading it through. My notes there were he definitely got a little bit amped up. The speediest we've ever heard him from submission period. He was super slow. We told him you need to work on hype. That was something he improved on in his semifinals cast. I think here he was trying to keep up with me. I think I'm one of the fastest play-by-play guys out there. I come out with the hype right away, and I try and keep it rolling all through 5 games, where some of you guys will kind of take a more casual conversational approach at the start. I think that might have thrown him off, just casting alongside me and seeing how quick I was going into things right away. But he did slow himself down in the middle of it, and you could kind of pick up, I think, really, when we heard that Ricky point, we all three looked at each other and smiled in the desk here and the booth that doesn't exist. But I thought overall, this was definitely the most impressive cast I heard, and he crushed it on the hard point, and the reason I was most impressed was he showed me his full spectrum, where you had Gizmo asking questions the whole time, where you had Dirk focusing on analysis the entire time. Chance and Fox kind of did the best of kind of jumping from action to analysis. He knew when to turn off that analysis switch and go pure play-by-play, and I was amazed that he was able to do it in a game that was separated by 20 points with 21 seconds left.
I think the key for me was minimal mistakes. That's what really separates them out, in my mind, is who made the most mistakes, who made the least mistakes. And you know, you listen to that 5 times and try and find Chance to make a mistake in what he said. Besides the game attack, that was literally the only mistake, and you can't even blame him for that. It was pretty impressive, consistent. I was really impressed.
All right, so that was the hard points. Search and Destroy is a whole nother beast, especially when you're not seeing all of the kills. So in our next round, we're going to be looking at those search games. But should we do this right now, Ben? Should we do the voting?
Well, before we get to the Search and Destroy, we're going to be voting someone off. So we're only going to have 3 contestants left. As we mentioned, we have a scoring system by ourselves. We have presence, accuracy, and tone. We touched on that at the very, very beginning.
Yep.
We've been in the commercial break kind of writing down some numbers. I did mine. I assume you guys did yours.
I've been doing mine.
You did yours? Good job, Matt. Good job, Matt. Have you been doing yours? Actually, we do need to go to commercial break, though, because we need to call in all of our contestants.
Okay.
So, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. As I said, get the contestants on Skype, and then one of them is getting eliminated. Be right back.